Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Dog Park by Birdwood Games.
Dog Park is a game in which you are going to be walking your dog in the dog park. You will be bidding for dogs to add to your kennel, and then you'll be selecting the ones that you already have to go on a walk and try to collect resources along the way, and ultimately to have the highest reputation as a reputable dog walker. Let's take a look at how this game works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Dog Park on the table from Birdwood Games. Let me show you how this drafting game about walking dogs is going to work. Now, for the components in this game, you obviously are going to have this beautiful big board here. You're going to have lots of dog cards that are going to have excellent artwork on them of different breeds of dogs with some resources and some action abilities on all the different types of dogs in this game. You've got lots of cards. This isn't even all of the cards, but lots of different breeds of dogs in this game. You do have some excellent, fantastic wooden components, wooden bits in this game with fantastic game trays, bits holders here, as you can see. Just really nice components here with this game. Some wooden meeples of people walking their dogs. And yeah, so everything about this game production-wise is fantastic. You also have player boards here and bidding dials. We'll come back to what all of these components do for you here in just a minute. Now let me explain to you how a round is going to work. You're going to play 4 rounds, and each round there are 4 phases. So you'll repeat these 4 phases 4 times, and then you'll proceed to in-game scoring. And there is the ability to play with a forecast deck, which are some extra cards that you can add to spice up each round, where there's like an event of sorts that will change the rules a little bit. This is optional. You don't have to play with these forecast cards. Just know that there is a little bit of spiciness with this deck that adds a little bit extra to the game. Now, how a round is going to work, you're going to proceed with 2 basic drafting bidding rounds. They're called recruiting, and you are trying to get these dogs, adding them to your kennel that you will be using to walk your dogs. I'm going to pan the camera down a little bit. This is a big board, so I'm going to have to move the camera around a little bit. Now, you're going to have a number of cards out here depending upon the number of players in the game. If you're playing with 4 players, you'll have 4 cards out here. And whoever is the first player, they will choose which of these 4 dogs they want to bid on. And you'll just take your meeple and you'll place it in front of the dog that you are wanting to bid on. So maybe I want to bid on this foxhound here. Now there's a number of things that are determining why you would want a particular dog over another. The resources here are going to show you what you need to pay in order to walk this dog. And so maybe you want to get a dog that you have resources to be able to walk. Their action ability on the card is going to be something that you'll want to take note of, but also the breed of dog. So this is a hound, for instance, and if you look over here, I'm going to pan the camera again. If you look over here on the right side of the board, you can see that all of the different breeds of dogs here are lined up with the hound on top. Now this is random. This is just shuffled out and dealt out randomly, but the hound is the most valuable type of breed in this particular game, whereas the utility is the least valuable. And if I have the majority in those breeds by the end of the game, then I will receive extra victory points. So I really want the hound here, but maybe somebody else also wants the hound, and they're going to be bidding on it as well. Now, whenever I place my meeple here, I take my bidding dial and I select a number between 1 and 5 to bid for this particular dog. Now maybe I select 3. And the number that I'm bidding here, that's the number of reputation that I'm bidding. And reputation are victory points. And so you do start the game with 5 in this track right here. And so I could spend all 5 and go down to 0, but then I'm not going to have any reputation. And I'm going to need reputation in order to get more dogs and win the game. But I do have to select how much I bid before I know whether or not anybody else is going to go there, because maybe nobody goes there and they end up going to other spots. And I reveal how much I bid, and I do have to pay that even if nobody else is there. And I would get that dog and set it off to the side of my player board. You have slots here, but we're going to come back to what those slots are for in just a second. All the dogs you get are going to go off to the side in what is known as the kennel. Now, if two players do end up going to bid for the same dog, then they will reveal how much they bid, and whoever bid higher will be the person who gets to take this dog, and the other player will have to just take whatever dog is left over. If they do bid the same on their dials, then it's whoever placed their meeple there first, they are going to be the person who gets the dog. And if there's multiple people there, 3 people for instance, then the player who bid the second highest will get to pick first out of the leftover dogs, and then the player who bid the least will have to take whatever's left over. And as I mentioned, you are going to do this twice. So you will put out new cards after those dogs have been taken, and you will repeat the process. You'll replace your meeple wherever you want to bid for that particular dog, and you'll go through that process, and so you will always get 2 dogs each round. Now, after you do the recruiting phase, then you're going to go into the selection phase, and that's where your player board is going to come into play. You'll have 3 spots here, and that's because you have the option to walk up to 3 dogs each round. So over the course of the game, you can walk a maximum of 12 dogs because there are 4 rounds. And so you'll select the dogs that you have in your kennel that you want to walk. Now, in the first round, you'll only have 2 because you can only get 2 dogs. And so I guess technically the maximum that you can walk in this game is 11. But if I had 3 dogs, I would select 3 right there. Now, you are going to have to pay the resources listed on the dog in order to be able to walk them, paying them back to the supply. And you'll want to pay attention to the different actions that are on those dogs. Now, these dogs all have final scoring abilities, but there are some dogs that have walking abilities, such as this Norwich Terrier here says, when walking this dog, whenever you gain 1 or more dog treats, you may swap out the dogs, which we'll come back to here in just a second. You get to activate this once per movement. So you want to pay attention to what abilities you're going to be able to do as you select these dogs. Now, when you walk them, you're going to place a walking token on each of these, because they will give you 2 reputation at the end of the round for each one that you've walked. Any dogs that you have in your kennel that don't have walking tokens on them are going to cost you 1 reputation. So you'll want to make sure you walk all of your dogs at some point in the game, because you'll lose points if you don't. Now, after everybody selects the dogs that they are going to be walking, I'm going to pan the camera back up here in just a little bit. Then you are going to proceed to the 3rd phase of a round, which is the walk phase, where you will move your meeple along the path here. Now, you can see there are 2 diverging paths. When you get to this point, you'll have to choose if you want to go that way or if you want to go forward. But you move your choice of 1 to 4 spaces. So I could go here, or I could go as far as here on my first movement. And wherever I end up going, I'm going to get the bonus that is there. So this would be a dog treat, which would be really good going back to my Norwich Terrier, because then I could get to do this action because I took a dog treat. So that's where your dogs and their special abilities are going to come into play. And then maybe the yellow player goes here, and green decides they want a dog treat as well. Anytime you go to a spot where another player is already at, you will have to pay 1 reputation, and so that is going to cost you victory points in order to be able to do that. Some of the other icons that you see here on the board, this is going to allow you to peek at the deck and see what dogs are coming up, and maybe be able to replace the dogs that are out here for the next drafting phase. Whereas this ability is going to allow you to swap out dogs that you have already drafted for dogs that are out here in the market, and get a head start on the drafting phase and get the dog that you want before somebody else can go ahead and outbid you for it. Now you choose how fast you want to progress through this, but you do want to get out in a speedily manner and not be the last person out, because if you're the first person, you will get 3 reputation. If you're the second person, you'll get 2. If you're the third person, you'll get your choice between 1 reputation or getting a walk token and being able to do that swap out ability like I told you. Or if you are the last person, you will lose 1 reputation. Now that's how most of the game works. At the end of each round, you will bring back your people to your player boards. And like I mentioned, you will gain 2 reputation for every dog that you walk. And you'll lose 1 reputation for any dogs that you haven't walked at any point in the game up to that point. And that is a full round. Now, after 4 rounds, you will proceed to final scoring, in which case you will get points for however far you are along this reputation track on the outside of the board. Then you will score the majority bonuses for each of these breeds. If you're the person who has, like for instance, the most working dogs, in this case, you would get 4 reputation points. Then you will also score victory points for your dogs that have final scoring abilities on them, and however well you fulfilled those abilities. The last thing that you will get victory points for are your personal objectives. At the beginning of the game, you will have 1 standard objective and 1 experience objective dealt out to you. You will be able to score one of these cards. Whichever one you score the best is the one you're probably going to claim. And then whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. You do also get 1 point for every 5 resources that you have left over. Otherwise, that is how you play Dog Park. Let's go back up top and share thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Dog Park from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first initial impressions, seeing this game on the table, the production, the pieces, the artwork, it's stunning.
Yeah.
Or at least I think it is. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. All the dogs and the components, and the board is very large and pretty, and yeah, I really enjoyed the aesthetics of it.
Absolutely, 100%. And so much so that I'm interested to see what else Birdwood Games comes out with in the future because of how highly produced this is.
Yeah.
It's just a very beautiful game. And it's not just the components and the board, but also the artwork, the dogs, the flavor text, or not the flavor text, but just knowing that they went through and said this is a schnauzer and this is a poodle, and just like, I don't know, that's a really, I'm glad they did that, and because there's a lot of cards in this game, and so that was a lot of effort to be put into this game. I enjoyed that aspect of it. Let's talk about the gameplay and what this game is like once you get into it. For me, I'll go ahead and throw some initial thoughts on there. There are some things that I really like about it, and then there's some things that I don't care too much for.
Yeah.
For me, I felt like the set collection with the dogs, I guess it's set collection, is really interesting because you see the order and you know, the breed of dogs and what ones are going to give you the most points if you have the most of them. So I guess it's area majority. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I do like that because you're really fighting and clawing for those ones that come up in the market for you. Let me throw it to you first and see what you like about it. What were some of the things that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I think that the set collection aspect of it was really good, and just all the information you have on each dog, and there's things that you get with each dog. Is some of them, they may be lower on the track, but they get you what you need as far as resources go, so that you can do what you need to do to walk those specific ones. And so they put a lot of thought into what each dog can get you, how you're going to play them, how you're going to use it, how you're going to use your resources. And so there's more to it than just, oh, I need a utility dog because it's way up there.
Yeah.
Well, there might not be any, or they may just not get you, that one doesn't get you what you might need to be able to walk your other ones.
Yeah. I do agree with that. I think that there's some cleverness with how the cards interact, and you can play out a strategy with that. Like maybe I've got a dog that's going to give me more points if I stash some twigs on it at the end of the game, and so I want to get this dog that gets me extra twigs as I'm walking.
And Lance was paying more attention to that at the beginning than I was, and he ended up having all the resources he needed, whereas I was using my resources every single time. And so it definitely was worth reading everything on each card. I'm not good at that.
Yeah. But at the same time, there are some things that I didn't like so much about this game. The actual walking of the dog in the dog park, I felt like was maybe the weakest part of the game, because it sort of feels like you take 2, maybe 3 moves, unless you're just really creeping along and everybody else is creeping along. And then you're out of the dog park, and then you're just kind of like, I got maybe 2 or 3 resources, and it feels like it should have been more. There should have been more choices, more options.
A bigger part of the game.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of focus on the drafting and the resources you get from there, and they make it equal or less than the dog walk, whereas I think the dog walk should have been more of the focus and been a bigger, larger part.
Yeah, I'll agree with that for sure, because it does sort of feel like the drafting component of this game is meant to build up this engine that you can put into practice, and you see how well your drafting did based off of how the dog walk goes for you. But you're only walking 3 dogs, and you're only taking you're only taking like 3, maybe 4 steps, but probably not. And you're just getting, 2, 3 resources at max. And then if you're lucky, you get some reputation, but maybe you don't because you took too slow. I don't know. It feels like it should have been more. Yeah. So pretty much we've already been sharing our pros and cons with you guys in this. I think real quick, just to briefly get this out there, pros for this one, it's beautiful. It's very organized. It has stunning presence on the table.
Lots of cards.
Yes.
A good thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's an interesting idea, an interesting theme, being this reputable dog walker. I think that's a clever, unique, innovative idea to try to make a game out of. And all of that's fantastic. That's top notch, really good.
Yeah.
The cons for it, though, I think really do weigh it down, and just that the main idea here with this game just didn't really shine that brightly.
Yeah.
It does have some things going for it with the bidding. I really enjoyed the bidding on the drafting as well, connecting those 2 things together, and the area majority trying to get the dogs that score the most. But the dog walk part just didn't do it for us.
Yeah, didn't hit like it should have.
Yeah, for sure. Perhaps if maybe they add something to this game, that could make it more interesting. Maybe an expansion, something, I don't know. But as it is, it needed a little bit more to, I think, really whet our appetite, even as a non-gamer, right? Yeah. All right, let's get to our scores for it then. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does this one come in at?
I'd probably give it a 6.2.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I think maybe because it is such a beautiful game, I do give it good remarks on that. I'm going to give it maybe a 6.6, a little higher than maybe where Sam's at. It's a beautiful game to look at. It's just a shame that maybe the gameplay didn't meet up with that.
Yeah.
So, well, there you have it. That's our thoughts on Dog Park. It is from Birdwood Games. Leave some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this particular game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.